This is the Epson V550 negative and film and document scanner. It retails for about $195 at Fry's, and I believe I got it at Best Buy's for about $169, and I think I even had a discount beyond that, so I got a good deal. The negative carrier clips on with this device here. The film strips, it will take up to 6 in a strip. You can kind of clip this at the end and lay it out. Similarly on the other side, there's a couple of little catch pins here, and you simply clip that into the end and snap it down. Check it and make sure that your negatives are in there lined up nicely. You can take this compressed air and give it a little shot there. The film carrier is designed to fit either of two ways, this way for negatives and then simply flipped over 180 for slides. And the part that is being read is here central in the scanner window for slides here, and central for negatives here. And you'll see on the sides here there's a little place there where it will somewhat snap into place. Open up your program, the Epson Scan. Note the mode button on top. I prefer to go in professional mode. Now let's check our settings here. We go to document type, and we have a choice of reflective or film, and we will take film. Now we go down to film type. We have positive, negative, or black and white negative. Positive film would be for slides. Color negative film is what we have now. We go to image type, and we have 48-bit color, 24-bit color. The default is 24. Let's try 48. Resolution, I've been running 3200 because I feel that's a pretty good resolution without taking exceptionally long. Moving down to adjustments, they have unsharp mask checked by default. I'm not exactly sure what that is. Grain reduction, I don't think I want that. Color restoration, we'll go ahead and give that a try, although we are going to be correcting the color. Backlight correction, I like that. And we do a lot of that in our editing also. Dust removal, let's check all of that. Now we're going to click on preview. Although the scanner does a fairly good job of auto color and density, if there's a wide diversity of different types of slides in there, some dark, some light, some off color, whatever, you do have some corrections on the scan itself. And the closer you can get on the scan, the better your editing is going to be afterwards. So we go to image adjustment. But this second one looks a little blue to me, so I'm going to add just a touch of yellow to get that a little closer. And now let's go on down. These of the doll cabinet are kind of overexposed. So we're going to select those, and we're going to darken it a bit. Same thing over here. This is quite light, so we will darken it. Now let's go ahead and give it a scan. The scanning process takes about 7 minutes. For me, that's usually about enough time to go through the images that I've previously scanned and to go into the photo editor and color correct those. We have our images. Now let's select one and open it up. This opens up on my HP in the Photos program, which has a very nice basic editing program that works real well for the basic functions. I don't think it'll do any cloning, taking out of people that are in pictures or adding people, or fine brush spotting or color changing or anything like that, but it'll do the basics really well. So we go to edit, and the first thing I do is go to crop, and I see if I like how it's cropped. And if you can do this, you can go to aspect ratio and determine whether you want original shape of the picture or whether you want to go to custom and do your own shapes. Once I like how that is, I click done. Then I first try the auto enhance. Usually it doesn't bring it how I like it. But if it brings it closer than it was, I stay with it. If not, I undo that function. Then I go to adjust up here on the palette, and I go to lighting. This gives you your contrast, exposure, highlights, shadows. This needs a lot of contrast. We're going to start there and really kick it up on the contrast. I'm going to reduce the highlights a little bit because that will enhance the mountains and the sky. If I wanted to, I could kick up the shadows a bit for the greenery, but it doesn't really need that, so I'm going to stop there. Now I'm going to go down to color, click on color. First let's do clarity. That gives it an overall crisp edge. Then we'll go to color. This doesn't give you your basic 3 color, but it gives you your warmth and your tint. This is way too cool. This is way too warm. It brings out a lot of yellow there, so we'll go give it a little bit of warmth, but I can see a lot of green in this, so I'm going to go to tint, mix of cyan and green and a mix of magenta and red. So I'm going to give it a little bit more magenta, and you just kind of work with these colors until you like what you see. That's better than what I saw. If you do have any dust on your scan, and I do see some imperfections in the sky, there's usually some things up there that you want to fix, you go to your spot fix. The spot fix gives you a brush that's pretty big, and I don't see a way to adjust the size of that brush other than to simply go to Control Plus. If you want to get really fine-tune something, like I see something right here, let's go over to that, click on that, it pretty well takes it out. Now let's go back to the size that we had, and let's go up in the sky right quick, and like I say, it gives a pretty large area, and you can take out these little blemishes or dust spots in the sky quite well with this spot remover. But it'll only give you a couple of tries and then it stops working. It does this either by cloning or by blending of colors in the selected area. But if it doesn't work, simply close and reopen the image, and it'll give you a fresh start on that. So this is pretty good here. We're going to save this, and let's go to the doll cabinet, and let's bring up the one of the doll with a newspaper clipping, because that gives us a chance to work with color density and saturation. And we'll do the rotation. We'll go to crop first. I don't like how this is not vertical, so we're going to go to on the side of the screen you have a thing with 0 degrees, and you can easily and quickly straighten, and that's the first thing I do with any picture that's not straight. Make sure that your verticals are straight, and you have a grid line here to look at. Make sure that if you've got telephone poles or moldings of walls or whatever, that they're perfectly straight. It's more important vertically than horizontally. We'll click done on this. Let's give it a chance with auto mode. I don't have a whole lot of faith in that. Well, it did kind of clean it up a little. I want more enhancement in the white area, so we're going to go to light, we're going to go to highlights, take out some highlights, kick up the contrast a bit. That brings out the newspaper and the dress quite well. We are a little bit on the blue side, so we'll go to color and go to warmth. We'll warm it up a little bit. There, I like that pretty well. Let's go with that. We'll take the scan tray out. We'll turn it around this way, and we'll put it in with the central area to fit the slides centered on the viewer of the scanner. Take your aerosol duster, give them a going over. That will hopefully reduce the dust. Now we're going to place these in the scanner. We're going to place them with the label facing upwards. That's the emulsion side. And we'll orient them all the same direction. If you get them upside down, you can fix that in the editing, but it's better to get them all right, and that'll save you a step later. So we'll go back into the program. Back to the settings where it says color negative film. We are going to scroll down to positive film. Now we're going to preview. This takes about a minute, and here we have our images, and I picked 4 slides that have a variety of densities. So we have one here that's really dark. We will click on that image, We'll go to our settings, we'll go to brightness, and we will brighten this up. You notice here the picture got turned 90 degrees on the scan, and it cut off part of the slide. I don't know why it did that, but I'm going to try to outsmart it by simply rotating or shuffling the position of these and rescanning. Still turned, and I think more than likely it's so dark that it can't recognize the orientation, so we're going to deal with it as it is. There's one other image that should be treated on the before we scan it, and that's the one on top that's very light and very pinkish looking, so let's go to that. First off, let's kick up the contrast a whole bunch. Right about there. A little too much contrast. We'll try something like that. And we'll go ahead and scan this. Since there's only 4 slides here, this only takes about 4 minutes, I believe. Now we have our images. Let's start with this girl, this sideways girl that is part of her cropped out. We can rotate up here, or we can go into edit and crop first. Let's do that. And we'll first rotate. Now since we have a picture that doesn't show everything, we want to go to custom. Since she's got a fist there that she's looking into, and she's got a necklace that looks pretty good. She's got a lot of hair, but we don't need that much. Let's come in like fairly tight like that. I think that makes a pretty impacting picture. We'll click done. Now this is very blue looking, so we're going to go to the color, and we'll work on warmth. Warm it up a bit. Check out the skin tone, and click on lighting, and we'll go to highlights, reduce the highlights to bring out the skin tone more, bring up the overall exposure a bit more. I think we might reduce the shadows a little to get more impact, because she's got plenty of hair color there. Now let's go to the really light one. We're upside down, so we're going to go to edit and crop, but rotate it. And now we're going to go to crop, because we got some of the border showing that we don't like. And we don't need, well, this is a matter of choice. I don't think we need that much of her in it. We'll come in like this. We can probably go back to original. I'm going to go right in there with that. Call it good. Now let's try automatic adjustment. Didn't do much. We've got a lot of magenta. So we'll go to color. We'll go to tint. We'll cut down some of that magenta and red. We'll add some warmth. A little bit more green and cyan. Let's go to lighting and add some contrast. Let's cut some highlights. That's helping a lot. Now we're looking a little yellow. Go back to color. I really would rather have my 3 primary colors here than this warmth and tint. Let's try a little magenta. Give it a little bit cooler of a tone. If you're not having a lot of success with the color, you can reduce the color. Add to the contrast. If you're totally bummed out by the color, you can get rid of it and go with the black and white. Let's do that. I'm going with that. Let's see if I like the background behind her that's so dark. Do I want to bring some shadow detail? Yes, I do. I like that. Let's bring a lot of shadow detail. And bring up the contrast a bit more. Cut down on the exposure. Not a bad picture. And if you want to go into further editing, you can import this into more sophisticated programs and do your straightening out of parallels and your cloning and your color fixing and all that sort of thing, selecting specific areas and so forth.